So the sense I get is I sense that I get an intuition about people regardless of any positive or negative input from any of my known senses, sight, sound, all of those kind of things. My feeling is that my inner being probably judges the appropriateness of their vibration in relation to my vibration, not necessarily making a judgment whether that's good or bad, just the appropriateness of our interaction. And my other feeling is also that my personality or my ego or whatever we're calling that, the me that's in my body, judges that more on a relationship of that's a bad quality that I don't like, that's a good quality that I do like. And I guess I just want to hear some clarity around that, because there's some parts of it I feel like I'm missing, or that I'd like just a little bit more.
Well, we were talking earlier about the relativity between the vibration of who you really are and the vibration that you are being in any moment in time. So let's say that you have spent some time in this day and you are feeling very good. You have meditated, you've appreciated, and you are in this moment tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You feel wonderful. And you have many plans about many things. And the source within you knows the best route to all of those things. So you walk into a room, and let's say there are hundreds of people in the room, and some of them are a vibrational match to who you are and what you want, and some of them aren't. But you're not just vibing them out and going to them, sniffing them out to see who would benefit. Instead, somebody's introducing you to someone they know. So you're not using your guidance to find them. You're being, in a sort of false way, introduced to them. And as you are, now remember, you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And as you are being introduced to them, immediately from your place of alignment, now you cannot behold them. You cannot get near them, even before they begin interacting with you verbally. As you approach them and behold them, you begin to get feedback on where they are in relationship to where you are.
Right.
And if they match you in your tuned in, tapped in, turned on state, you feel a gravitation to them. If they don't, you feel a repulsion from them. Now, the scenario that we just described is really an ideal scenario for you, because before you entered the room, you aligned with you. So your guidance is giving you accurate feedback from one standpoint of connection. So under those conditions, you can feel who's of benefit to you and who isn't. And as you said, not whether they're bad or good, right or wrong, just aligned with you and your purpose or not aligned with you and your purpose. So now let's make it a slight bit more complicated. Let's say that for whatever reason, you're not tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You didn't want to go to this party to begin with, or whatever it is, and there were other things you wanted to do, and you're not particularly in alignment. You've been doing some upstream thinking, and so now you walk into the room and your energy's scattered. So under those conditions, first of all, your guidance wouldn't work if you were trying to sniff out, but now you're introduced to someone, and now there are different things going on within you because you're not in alignment, and so you can't get a really accurate reading on who they are in relationship to who you are, because you're not even who you really are. Now, let's say that it was a fleeting moment of disconnection, that you're usually tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And so you're not, and let's say you meet someone who is also in alignment. So they would be a catalyst to bring you into alignment, and you would say, oh, what a nice meeting this was. But let's say you're not in alignment and you meet somebody else who is not in alignment. And so now they would be a catalyst. The two of you would really not be in alignment, and you would say, oh, this wasn't such a good meeting. So really what we're saying to you, we don't think that there's really any point in trying to figure out how you feel about somebody else until you have consciously figured out how you feel about you. In other words, until you're in alignment with who you are, none of this can be very meaty or very meaningful. It can't give you too much information that is useful. You're sort of like a cork just getting buffeted about.
I guess where I'm off the path that you're laying out for me is that I understand that from a feeling place of whether or not I feel drawn to them or pushed away from them. But when it goes into a more specific state where I go and I'll meet somebody and I get a sense that they are having trouble at home and they are not getting along with their wife or their kids or a specific event, and then somewhere along the way that information fleshes out and becomes to me.
Well, you're reading vibration, certainly. In other words, vibration is just like conversation. When they walk up to you, the whole of who they are is apparent to you.
Okay.
But the reason that we didn't particularly go that way, as Esther began realizing that she could receive us in this way, it made her aware that, because it's the same way that once you learn to read, you can read any book. So once you learn to read vibration, you can read any vibration. And so she would pick up on these sort of psychic things, and it was unsettling to her until we explained to her that she can't pick up on anything psychically unless she's in the vibrational vicinity of it. And that's really an important thing to realize. In other words, and most people, and that's why we were giving you the distinction of your alignment or not, because if you're all over the place, in other words, you could watch, there's a new television program that is just beginning this season, and it has many actors in it that Esther has always enjoyed, but the program is about a family that is so dysfunctional.
I know the show.
And as Esther, every time she watches it, she feels worse for it.
Yes.
Because it's activating within her things that she's left behind and doesn't really need to activate within her again. And every week she says, this is the last time I'm going to watch this. And then she watches it again, and now she's hooked into the plot. And
Sounds like my wife.
What we're wanting you to realize is that you can watch television and have things activated in you that make it possible for you to pick up on things in other people. And there isn't anything wrong with it. We just want you to be aware that your dominant intent is to stay as tuned in with who you are as you can be. And then law of attraction sifts through your interactions with you and only brings you that which is relevant to you. Good. Because when you start tapping into vibration, the world becomes much more complicated. And you want to have some way of navigating all of that. And the only way to really navigate anything successfully from our point of view is to align with who you are, which means you've aligned fully with your evolving being, which means then only the meaningful things will begin to flow to you.
Okay. That makes sense to me.